Man, you know what's crazy is when we think of everything going on in the world, we think about concerts and events like, football games, baseball games, soccer games, parades, carnivals. Doesn't matter. All I know is we know that we feel safe as parents, as siblings, to let our children go to these things. But is it really safe? I mean, come on. Why would you send a 14-year-old kid to a Travis Scott concert? I don't know. It's crazy. But hey, things happen for reasons. People learn through live lessons. So let's take a view at this with some videos with Dr. Phil, some interviews, and then I'll give you my perspective. So what's crazy is I'm a huge fan of Travis Scott's music. Actually, I like a lot of his beats. I like a lot of the things he does as an artist. Period. He's got a good flow about him. He's got a good, you know, niche. Now, sun is down. What I don't understand is with a crowd or like a presence this big. I mean, look at you. You're influencing kids right now. This is a Fortnite commercial on YouTube, right? And I play Fortnite. I play video games. It's part of the reason why I stream on Twitch, right? But my kids play this all the time. So when I watch something like this, man, I mean, as a kid, of course I want to go to a Travis Scott concert. Look at this. I mean, come on. Show, right? At the gate outside when they pull up and kick me loose. Yeah, jump out, boys. Now, let's talk about what led from that, though, to this.
I just want to send out prayers to the to the ones that was lost last night. We're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time. You know, my fans really mean the world to me, and I always just really want to leave them with a positive experience. And anytime I can make out, anything that's going on, I just stop the show and, help them get the help they need, I could just never imagine the severity of the situation. We've been working closely. We've been working closely with everyone to just try to get to the bottom of this. The City of Houston, HPD, Fire Department, everyone to, help us figure this out. So if you have any information, please just contact your local authorities. Everybody continue to just keep your prayers. I mean, I'm honestly just devastated, and I could never imagine anything like this just happening. And I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you guys updated and just keep you guys informed on what's going on. Love you all.
So there you have a formal apology by Travis Scott that speaks out about these 8 people that were killed, right? And though he says these things, is it genuine? You know what I mean? These are the questions I have going into this Dr. Phil interview that we're about to get into. But what do we, I mean, Travis, there's allegations that while somebody was recording, right, somebody was trying to give kids CPR at this event that were like, I'm talking about collapsed and passed out, almost dead, right? Minutes from death. And the show's still going on, right? Where's security at? Where's these things in place for mass cas? How come the show wasn't stopped? You know what I mean? I mean, even as a security, okay, this is a little bit different perspective, guys, okay? But as a military police officer, right? When we hold a court on, or when we hold security, you know what I'm saying? We have all these things in place. We give briefs. We have everything in place prior to the event happening. What do we do if there's a medical emergency? What do we do if there's a fire? What do we do if there's a mass cas, right? Like a big shooting or something like that because of the events that happened in Vegas, right? That would be an indicator. I mean, where are the primary exits? Are there enough exits? What is the primary occupancy of this tier that we have set up? Is the crowd too wild? You know what I mean? Do we need to push these guys back? Do we need to have more people enforcing things? I'm sure there was illicit drug use there as well. I mean, come on, we're in the 2021s, man, in the pandemic age. You know what I mean? And fentanyl is running around, and Molly and all this other crap, right? That our kids are somehow getting their hands on, and we know how it's happening. But these things are there too, so that impacts it. So I have a lot of questions about the parents. Why would you let your kid go to a Travis Scott concert at 14, being with the people that and the entourage that came with him? He had Drake there. You know what I mean? He had other bodies there, right? That are known for some explicit lyrics and some pretty intense stuff. I mean, am I a prude? Nah. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I get it. We're evolving, right? Language is language, but as a human being, we should always think of the other person first, right? We should always try to be as calm as possible, as relaxed. We need to act as people and not like animals, right? And all these things. So there's a lot of different questions I have. I mean, I get it, man. Like I said, a show's a show, entertainment's entertainment. Have fun, but do so responsibly, right? So let's take a look at these issues that are going on.
Engineered to smooth, shape, and dry. Different lengths, types, and styles of hair, with no extreme heat.
Real quick before we start, thanks for tuning in. Please hit the follow button.
It's not chestnuts roasting that bring the family together. It's you. And even though you can't make them exactly like grandma's, you can still make it a night to remember. Save up to 25% off appliances at the Home Depot. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil Trample.
I felt like I was being strangled.
You. And even though you can't make them exactly like grandma.
Hold on, let me reload this real quick.
You can still make it a night.
Just to make it just a little bit quicker. All right, let's see. It's been paused for a minute. Come on. There we go. All right. Let's see what we got.
Make them exactly like grandma's. You can still make it a night to remember. Save up to 25% off appliances at the Home Depot. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil Trample.
I felt like I was being strangled.
Traumatized.
People recording the concert and recording me doing CPR, recording others doing CPR, then going back to recording the concert.
The aftermath of the Astro World tragedy.
They went to a concert and they left in a body bag.
The nightmares and flashbacks.
His eyes rolled the back of his head.
How it happened and who's to blame.
Why was this show not stopped when it was classified as a mass casualty event?
All right. Oh, what's up, Dr. Phil? I'm thinking like already, man. Okay.
Today, inside the deadly Astro World Music Festival, where shocking video showed terrified concertgoers screaming for help and lifeless bodies being crowd surfed and dropped, all as performer Travis Scott continues to sing on stage. That's okay with you real quick. So let's do this door. Well, as of today, 10 people are dead, and that number is expected to rise. A 9-year-old boy who was clinging to life in a coma is the latest victim to die, and hundreds of others remain severely injured. The disastrous concert has been categorized by authorities as a mass casualty event and has sparked a nationwide outrage.
The mayhem at Astroworld began hours before Travis Scott took the stage. 2 p.m., hundreds of fans stampede across a parking lot. They easily pushed down chain-link fences and stormed into the venue. For roughly an hour, a chaotic scene raged at the Astroworld Music Festival Friday night, and the show continued for almost 40 minutes.
There's a lot of people trampled and they're passed out at the front stage.
Harrowing new details from that deadly crush of people at a rap concert in Houston. The FBI is now assisting in the criminal investigation into the Friday night tragedy. Before the chaos, there was this photo. 9-year-old Ezra Blunt with his dad. Ezra was on his father's shoulder as Travis Scott performed, and the crowd surged.
My son couldn't breathe. He passed out, and Ezra fell into the crowd. He was trampled really bad.
The family of 9-year-old Ezra Blount says that Dallas child has died.
We learned today that Houston's police chief met with rapper Travis Scott just right before the concert and voiced his concerns about crowd control. Roughly half an hour after the show started, it was declared a mass casualty event. For one thing, why did the concert continue after fans were screaming that someone had died? And if crowd control plans were in place, why did so many people get killed or injured? Cell phone video shows panicked fans begging for help while Scott performs. And minutes later, first responders struggling to save the injured. Kayla J says she comforted a man on the ground.
I just held him and I just told him I was sorry.
But some survivors say authorities did not do enough, like Basil Baig. He was at the festival with his brother Danish, who was killed in the crowd.
He died saving his fiance. She was getting hurt, hit left and right. He didn't deserve it. Travis Scott, you are the one who's liable. You got blood on your hands, man.
All right, I'm gonna pause it real quick because though I believe that this was a very tragic accident and a lot of people got hurt and there was a lot of failure here, I can't say that it was Travis Scott's sole responsibility and fault. I mean, I don't feel that the blood is on his hands. You guys know, if you've been to a concert, how loud concerts are, and it's very hard. I could imagine if you're the entertainer, you know what I mean, trying to perform, and you're in the middle of a performance, especially with this kind of music going on, that it's very hard to hear anything like that going on because you have a lot of people cheering stuff. So I'm guarantee you that Travis Scott had probably mostly no clue of what was going on until it was already happening. So first things first, I already put it in the comments. I would have stopped this right off the top. As this is what I do blame Travis Scott for, right? Is he is the entertainer, so he should have done his own walkthroughs and said, "Hey, is this good? Is this good? Are you sure about this? Are you sure about that?" You know what I mean? And maybe that did happen, okay? And I'm not knocking the guy. I'm saying maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't. But that's what I could see is that as soon as this happened, as soon as they broke gate like that, concert should have been shut down, security reestablished, either the event canceled if they couldn't control it, or re-engage after it's taken care of. So let's see what, let's continue. You know what I mean? I don't want to hold up too long. Let's continue.
As more and more terrifying accounts are revealed, the question remains, why did this happen? Is someone at fault here? Was this just a perfect storm of bad circumstances? It's a story that's been playing out on social media with pop culture Instagram accounts reporting on facts from the ground that they claim the mainstream media is missing or ignoring. Joining me as entertainment journalist and host of the podcast Pretty Smart, Danielle Robe. A lot of people are saying that mainstream media, a lot of whom, of course, weren't there, is missing the gravity of the crux of what really happened.
Looking at those videos, as a human being, of course you feel something. It's gut-wrenching to see all of that. I do think a lot of the media, the narrative is that Travis Scott is at fault. And I took a step back and looked at sort of the precedent in all of this. This happened, something similar happened in 1979 in Ohio at a concert with The Who. In 2000, it happened with Pearl Jam. 11 people died. And I think we have to look at safety precautions and crowd sizes. I'm not sure this is necessarily Travis Scott's fault.
Now, Travis Scott reportedly has a prior history of encouraging and promoting mayhem, anarchy, and unsafe behavior at his shows. Now, he calls his fan ragers and has previously been arrested on charges including disorderly conduct and inciting a riot. Take a look.
August 1st, 2015. Travis Scott was barely into his set at Lollapalooza when he urged the crowd to jump the barricades into the security pit. And they did. The rapper was arrested for disorderly conduct and later pled guilty, but no fans were hurt, unlike Friday in Houston.
I could never imagine anything like this just happening.
But his track record tells a different story that continued long after this Lala. In April 2017, he encouraged a fan at a New York show to jump from a balcony into the crowd. A month later, he was arrested after a show in Arkansas on suspicion of inciting a riot. But for the first time Friday, fans didn't come home from one of his concerts. And so begins the battle over who's to blame. Scott is already facing a handful of lawsuits from people who were at the Houston concert and hurt. They claim that he could have done a lot more to control or stop that chaos.
Well, Travis Scott superfan Billy says he can no longer support his music idol after the horror he witnessed at the Astroworld Concert Festival. And Jesus says he was shocked when people were dancing on medic carts that were carrying lifeless blue bodies. And they're here today and join us in the audience. So, Billy.
So real quick, like I said, I'm going to give all the leeway I can to Travis Scott, okay? Because he is the entertainer. People, though he says things on mic, does that mean to go do it? You know, if I tell you something to go do, are you going to go jump off a cliff? You know, like, are you gonna hurt yourself because I tell you to? I mean, people have their own common sense, right? So for you to say that, you know, this is all about Travis Scott inciting riots and things like that, I understand that. Now, we also going to throw in the fact that he's an entertainer, right? He's got leadership because a lot of people look up to him. Look how many people are in that crowd. So there is a degree now where you have to be held liable because you're telling people in a position of authority, pretty much, or leadership, to do something. And people are going to follow you, especially young kids that love the music, love Travis Scott, love the lifestyle, love the drugs, love the dancing, love the mosh pits, things like that. You're going to get these kids and things like that to react this way with simple, you know, pumping the crowd up. You know what I mean? And I get when you're trying that. So I'm interested to see about what they mean by commentators saying that people are dancing on gurneys with lifeless blue bodies. That's kind of disturbing. So let's continue on, shall we?
Thanks for being here. You are a real super fan, or have been a super fan of Travis Scott's. How many shows have you been to?
I went to at least 15 shows on the Astro Tour in 2018.
Like 15 shows?
Yeah, I wore the doctor scrubs to one of the shows, and he posted on his Instagram, so I kept wearing the doctor scrubs, so that's why I'm wearing them today.
Well, people will recognize you because they've seen you. You've been on stage. Mm-hmm. And all. What went wrong here, in your opinion?
The first thing I noticed was the barricades. It was basically set up like a death trap. There was one way in and basically no exit unless you wanted to go over the barricade. So people were just getting trapped in, and it was like a fight for survival, basically. It was just way overpacked, and just there was no safety measures in place, and it all happened so quickly. Like within the first 10 minutes, like even before Travis came out, there's not a centimeter between you and the next person. If you put your hands up in the air, they're not going down. Like
you couldn't get them back. It was that tight.
People were getting pulled out of the crowd before Travis even came out.
And when you say when people put their hands up, they couldn't get them back down, you mean because they were packed in so tight?
Yes, sir. It was like this.
Wow. Okay. You say there was an apocalyptic vibe to this festival, and it kind of had a dark feel to it. What do you mean by that? Part of it is the music that was playing just all throughout the day.
The festival theme.
The other 15 shows you'd been to.
No, sir.
Jesus, what was your feel being there?
People were already at the stage from like 3 p.m. and they were just going to camp there the whole day. And I even told some people, hey, is this your first time at a show? And they're like, yeah, this is the first time I'm going to see Travis. I'm excited. I gave some tips. Honestly, you might want to go to the back because it's going to get really crowded. And I saw the barricades as well. I've been to 9 shows. All the shows have had open space. And this time, the barricades were there. And even myself was like, this is a horrible idea. And this is like at 2 p.m.
Well, this was in the afternoon.
No, yeah.
When you could see in the afternoon, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. I literally told people, I was like, bro, like, I've been here before. Like, I came here in 2019. It's going to get packed. You might want to go to the back.
Coming up, according to a security operations plan for Astroworld obtained by CNN, staff was told to refer to possible dead fans as Smurfs. That's next. Are you still a Travis Scott super fan?
It's hard. I mean, I saw so much stuff that night. It's like the 9/11 concert.
And later,
I was being crushed. I was trying to lift myself above others so I could breathe.
And a few other guys stepped in and just helped me get her out of there.
I felt like I was being strangled, but just by a crowd.
tomorrow.
All right. So, like I put in the chat, I say that's a moot point, guys. I really do. With the barricade situation, I really think that as Travis Scott's concert series in Astroworld, right, progresses, so does the security team. So I think that the security team actually tried to make barricades in front to prevent the crowd from surging forward. However, I don't think the size of the crowd was determined to be appropriate. I don't think the size of barricades or type of barricades they probably used were appropriate. There's many different things that were probably very hasty. So let's continue. I mean, this is some pretty intense stuff, guys. I mean, I haven't been personally to a Travis Scott concert, but for those of you who have, I mean, feel free to comment. I would like to get some feedback on this. Throw some follows as well, and let me know if you want continued content like this, because I kind of like digging into things like this and having conversations. So feel free, man. Throw a follow up. Look forward to it, and let's continue on.
With natural essential oils to create authentic seasonal scents that fill your home with holiday spirit all season long. Connect to nature this season.
After 40, wrinkles deepen and skin can get uneven. But here's the good news.
New Revitalift Retinol Night Cream, the first pressed cream by L'Oreal. A hygienic jar containing 2 derm-recommended ingredients. Retinol plus niacinamide, pressed into a deep moisturizing night cream.
This is genius.
After 14 nights, wrinkles start to be less visible and skin tone looks more even.
I can keep this, right?
New Revitalift Retinol Pressed Cream by L'Oreal Paris.
Don't stress. Press. Because we're worth it.
I've made progress with my mental health. So when I started having unintentional body movements called tardive dyskinesia, I ignored them. But when the movements in my hands and feet started throwing me off at work, I finally had to say, it's not okay. It was time to talk to my doctor about Austedo. She said that Austedo helps reduce TD movements in adults.
Before we start, man, hey, what's your favorite Travis Scott song? Hey, throw a follow. Come on. Give me a follow.
While I continue with most of my mental health medications.
Austedo can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have suicidal thoughts. Common side effects include
It's time to treat TD. TD is not okay. Visit askforaustedo.com.
Airwick scented oils are infused with natural essential oils to create authentic seasonal scents that fill your home with holiday spirit all season long. Connect to nature this season.
Hey, y'all, turkey or brisket? Put that in the chat.
Astroworld Festival Action Plan. 56 pages of protocols for all types of emergencies.
Here's what I wanted to see.
Bomb threats, evacuations.
Okay.
Nothing about a crowd surge, even though Travis Scott was twice arrested for urging crowds to stampede barricades.
Okay.
And in this 2019 Netflix documentary, Scott's security team details the kind of panic crush that this time turned deadly.
I see a lot of kids that are just trying to get out and get to safety because they can't breathe because it's so compact.
In this close-up video, trampled fans are screaming for help as Travis Scott continues to play. Only 2 people had the authority to stop the show.
Well, the Astroworld Music Festival left 10 people dead in Houston last week and hundreds more trampled and traumatized. Now, Travis Scott posted this video statement on his Instagram regarding the deadly concert.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost last night. We're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time. You know, my fans really mean the world to me, and I always just really want to leave them with a positive experience. And anytime I can make out, you know, anything that's going on, I stop the show and, help them get the help they need, I could just never imagine the severity of the situation.
So what's y'all's reaction?
I mean, I think he's doing his best to try, at least.
To try what?
Just to try to help out and show that he cares. But he does care about his fans, but something that night was just different.
What's your thought?
Yeah, so all the shows I've been to, he stopped the show probably like twice just because of stuff like this happens. I mean, not the deaths, but people usually like pass out, and he always stops the show. And this time he stopped the show like 4 times as well. I don't think he knew the severity, but people are already dead.
Joining me is Eliza Firo, the creator of pop culture Instagram account Face Reality 16, joins us virtually. So, Eliza, you've been really scouring through the social media platforms and looking at what's on TikTok and Instagram and the different places. I know some attendees say it was basically a war zone, even before the crowd surge. What's your read on what Travis Scott is saying in that video?
He looks agitated and upset. I'm sure he was. It was recommended to him to make a statement. You know, I'm not really a Travis Scott fan, so I can't compare to other things I've seen. But I'm sure he's very upset. It's just, is he upset that he's a part of this, or is he upset because he feels responsible in any way?
There should be somebody in production talking to him. There's somebody that can talk to him in his ear.
He did mention seeing the ambulance in the crowd, and then right after that played like one of his most hyped songs. And there was unconscious bodies being surfed out of the crowd while he was singing to them, so that threw me off too.
Are you still a Travis Scott super fan?
It's hard. I mean, I saw so much stuff that night that I can't even be the same that I was before.
Would you go to another concert?
If I ever did, it would be with like a group of people who are just there to help out kids in the crowd and pass out water and pick people up.
You wouldn't go just to be there as a fan?
No.
How about you?
After what happened, I don't know if he's ever going to perform again. I don't know. It's a bit confusing right now to be a Travis Scott fan.
It's going to change concerts forever. It'll never be. It's like the 9/11 of concerts.
Well, the operations plan refers to possible dead fans as Smurfs. I think what they're talking about is if they're going to be talking back and forth on the radios about this to code it in some way.
They don't want to freak people out being like, there's a dead body. You know what I'm saying? They'll say code words.
Yeah. I think they're trying to code that where they're not overheard saying something that might panic people or whatever.
You know, I was thinking about how crowd size used to be something that people would brag about. In this post-COVID world, bigger is not better anymore.
Well, I'm going to talk about the mentality of a crowd as we go along here. Coming up, we're going to talk to a hero nurse who went to the festival and ended up performing life-saving CPR on people dying all around her. She's going to join this conversation next. You started lifting her up to get her out.
When I passed out, there was no other way for me to get out except for lifting me above the crowd and passing me above other people to the security guard on the other side of the barricade.
If you had to choose a type of narcissist to spend time with.
Oh, yeah, we'll be quiet about all that. Communal narcissists and all that stuff. All right, so check this out. Couple points, right? The Smurfs thing, it is a code. I mean, EMS uses codes, fire department uses codes, police department uses codes, and it is with the intention of keeping the panic down, so that they don't incite further panic. Okay, so if somebody's hurt, they don't want to, say, hey, this guy's dead, or these people are dying, because obviously, what happens. I do look at, I guess he did stop the show, so I didn't know that. That's good to know. That was one of the questions I had. Hey, why did you stop the show? I'm kind of confused and a little bit wondering why, though. Was the security? Did they even call the police? This is the kind of questions I'm having. How did it look in the crowd? Did they have, did they quarantine people off? Did they have groups, you know what I mean, that went in there like a riot formation or anything like that to try to separate the crowd to get bodies out? Apparently, looking at the future, little snips that Dr. Phil put up here, it doesn't look like it was the case. It looks like the fans actually had to do their own CPR and stuff like that, and first aid, and carry the bodies over the fence themselves. It's kind of disturbing, it really is. I mean, I don't know, I don't agree with the whole thing that Travis Scott might not perform again. I think that he's going to have to perform a lot of shows to be able to pay them lawsuits off, because at the end of the day, it's his show, and he's got insurance, but I mean, that's a lot of life, so I don't know. It's not looking good. I'm trying to hold Travis Scott up a little bit to keep, you know what I mean? Keep the opposition away, you know what I mean? And try to look at it in the middle, like I swear by here on my show. I look things down the middle, so I'm not trying to blame the man. I'm not trying to blame the crowd. I'm trying to look at the facts. The facts right now is saying mid 50-50 right now. You know what I mean? It's a he said, she said to me. But there is some security flaws, but I don't know if that's going to be solely on Travis Scott, or is there, honestly, we looked at the standard operating procedures, right? They had the book and they showed the main incidents that they were prepared for, but they never put a crowd surge in there. That should be, at the very minimum, at the top of the list. That's like an anti-terrorism force protection plan. I mean, the simplest, minute incidents are at the very top because they're easy to plan for. They're very, you know what I mean? It could occur most likely, and then you go through severity, and an active shooter is least severe. So here we go, back to the show.
We're hearing for the first time police radio calls as chaos set in.
Multiple reports for people being injured.
Sophie, who doesn't want her last name made public, says she was knocked down 10 to 15 feet away from the stage.
It was this human pile of people.
She was pulled to safety, and just 3 weeks out of nursing school, went right into action.
I just knew that I needed to help.
She saw 3 dead bodies before finding Arturo Sanchez barely alive.
He was just comatose. I would say he was just comatose. He was just there lying by himself.
She worked to revive him for 40 minutes, begging a paramedic for help. Sophie and Arturo also want accountability. The two have now been reunited.
I wouldn't be here without her. I mean, I literally owe her my life.
Fans at Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival who took action to save people have become the heroes of this tragic story. ICU nurse and Travis Scott fan Madeline says she herself passed out while watching the performance and had to be crowd surfed out of the chaos. And for those that don't know, crowd surfed, you were lifted up and just by hands across the top of the crowd passed to an area that was outside of the crowd, correct?
We're a security guard. He pulled me over.
Right,
Yeah.
pulled you over. Then when she came to, she took no time to recover, but immediately started CPR on people dying of cardiac arrest. And Madeline joins us now along with her boyfriend Sam and her attorney, Richard Hinojosa. The psychological impact of this is going to be astounding. People go to a concert, they expect to have a good time. They don't expect to leave seriously injured or dead. And when their families hear that, it's like, what? They went to a concert and they left in a body bag. They have a hard time understanding that. And that could have happened to you, but you got passed out of there, and you're an ICU nurse, correct? And so you started helping other people, and you got separated from Sam, right?
Yeah, my fiance is the only reason I'm here today.
Yeah. And how so? What did Sam do to get you out of there?
Well, when I passed out, he told me that there was no other way for me to get out except for lifting me above the crowd and passing me above other people to the security guard on the other side of the barricade.
So you started lifting her up to get her out.
Yeah, I was trying to get a hold of a security guard for the longest time, but they were so busy helping everybody. I finally got a hold of one of them, and he just told me to lift her as high as I possibly could, and he would reach over and grab her, and a few other guys stepped in and just helped me get her out of there.
This was 30 seconds into Travis Scott's first song.
That's when she passed out, but it took probably 10, 15 minutes to get her out of the actual crowd.
To get her out.
Yes, sir.
And when you did come to and you started rendering aid to other people, you didn't know what had happened to Sam.
No.
Because there was no reception, so you couldn't get him. But finally, you got a message from him, right?
I got a phone call. I saw he had tried to call me.
So you knew at least he was alive?
Yes. One kid in one of the security guard's arms, he looked really, really, he looked bad. So I checked for a pulse, and I couldn't find one. I found 3 people laid out in front of me getting CPR. They were in cardiac arrest.
Closed captioning provide.
Man, that's deep, man. I mean, so what do you guys think so far? You know what I mean? What is your interpretation of what's going on? What is your perspective of these events? Because I'm probably talking to a mixed crowd. You know what I mean? I got young folks, I got middle-aged folks, and I got the older generation that all have different perspectives on what's going on. As a middle-aged person, I would say a little bit extreme of what was going on. You know what I mean? It could have been toned down a little bit. What do you guys think? I'm really interested. Also, looking for that recent follower box to light me up. Come on. I know we've been watching for a minute. Go ahead, hit that follow button. It's not gonna let up. It's not gonna turn into some lame drag episode. I'll be streaming some pretty good stuff. So go ahead, hit that follow button. Trying to get up there, get them streams up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this perspective. We're about half in, so let me know.
Thousands of people just like you, and whitening toothpaste just doesn't make those stains go away. Introducing Power Swabs, the first teeth whitening system that lifts coffee stains off your teeth in less than 5 minutes without whitening strips or trays. The secret is a tooth detergent and whitening agent developed by Dr. Martin Ginniker that lifts stains off of your teeth. Power Swabs remove stains on natural teeth, veneers, bonding, caps, and crowns. The best part is you just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you'll have whiter teeth. No more sitting at home with a whitening strip or tray in your mouth for 30 minutes twice a day. Call for your 5-minute solution to whiter teeth. Get a beautiful smile this Thanksgiving with a 40% off discount. Plus, get free shipping and a free quick stick pen. Visit powerswabs.com or call the number on your screen.
Allergies don't have to be scary. Spraying Flonase daily stops your body from overreacting to allergens all season long. Psst, psst, Flonase, all good. Beneath the surface.
Sunday after the 5th quarter, only on King 5.
Travis did see a fan at one point hurt, and he did call out. Let's take a look at what happened.
Let's play it slowly. We need somebody to help him. Somebody passed out right here. Somebody passed out right here. Hold on, don't touch him, don't touch him. Everybody just back up. Security, somebody help jump in real quick. Keep going, just keep it this way. Somebody jump in, come on, security, get in there. Let's get in there, let's get in there, let's get in there, let's get in there. Yeah. Yeah.
back into the show. Now, you're 30 seconds into the first song. What caused you to pass out?
I was being crushed. I was trying to lift myself above others so I could breathe and get my airway, from being pressed against.
So just the actual pressure on your chest and sides, you just couldn't expand. You couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting more and more.
It got worse when he came on stage. It started before he even came on stage.
Okay. And so you couldn't get enough air to maintain consciousness.
No.
So it'd just be the same as somebody holding your face and your nose and mouth. You couldn't get air in and out.
Yeah, I felt like I was being strangled, but just by a crowd.
Well, I'm so sorry. That had to be terrifying at the time for both of you. Now, you remember coming to and then passing out a second time, and then you looked around and started saying, "Oh my God." And it was the third or fourth person you came to before you found somebody alive that you could help around you.
Well, initially when I woke up, I was looking at just a bunch of people around me and just checking up on them. But then I noticed that when one kid in one of the security guards' arms, he looked really, really, he looked bad. So I asked if he had checked for a pulse, and he hadn't. So I checked for a pulse, and I couldn't find one. So I told him to just go to the medical tent. Don't leave him with us to go get more people, take him to get medical attention. And that's when another security guard said he needed help. I followed him and found 3 people laid out in front of me getting CPR. They were in cardiac arrest. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So, Richard, what do you make of this?
I mean, I think it's heartbreaking to hear a lot of these young individuals tell their stories to me and to you. But our job as lawyers is to find out what really happened, to find out the truth, so that people get closure and people understand what exactly happened. And I think we're going to find out the truth. I think Travis Scott has a lot of responsibility. I think there was a lack of leadership by the people that put the show together. It's not all about money. I think people are missing that. I think maybe for the people that we've sued, it was more profit over safety. But our job is to find out what exactly happened, so that we can change concerts, and so that my children, when they're older, I won't have to worry about them going to a concert.
Some people, I've read some posts and stuff that say this is just because it was a rap concert rage sort of thing. But this has gone on for a long time. There are events as far back as 1902 at soccer matches and all in Europe. As recently as 85, 39 killed, 600 injured at a soccer match. 2001, Ellis Park Stadium disaster in South Africa, 43 stampeded to death. Just in a crush like happened here. This is not just about rap concerts and rage. It's just about big crowds, and do you have the sort of controls in that you need? So coming up, why was this show not stopped when it was classified as a mass casualty event? We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about crowd mentality when we come back. If you turn that mic off, and you're done. Somebody has to have the lever.
Boom. You're begging the question. Why didn't someone pull the lever?
Tomorrow, her husband's an addict.
He left our baby in an overheated garage. 100 degrees.
So what do you guys think? I mean, honestly, that's a very good question. Crowd state. Why wasn't it shut? Who was in charge? Why didn't it get shut down when it was made a mass cast? I know I asked that question earlier before we started the broadcast. You know what I mean? Before I started this, and I'm not playing with you. I didn't watch this show and pregame this thing. I'm just going off of my perspective. The show's called A Veteran's Persec-Tv, and that's what it is. I'm just giving you what my common sense says about this situation. I think that the lawyer, honestly, he's going to say what he's going to say about Travis Scott because he's representing the other party, so I wouldn't really Oh God, Whoopi, you done lost it too, girl. I used to love you, but now I don't know because you're just going on the deep end sometimes. But anyway, does Travis Scott hold culpability for the things that happen? I don't know. I really don't know if that's going to get pulled off. I'm just being honest because of the fact that he did stop the show. He did notice somebody in the crowd that was passed out, and he did call for help. But then again, that begs the question: did he see the others? Why didn't he do the same? You know what I mean? Oh, it's JJ. What's up, JJ? Y'all remember JJ? I don't know if I'm talking to some. You know what I mean? Do y'all remember JJ? If you know JJ, let me know. Do you even remember the show? I give you 3 seconds. If you don't answer that thing in 3 seconds, you owe me a follow. 1, 2, 3. Good times, baby. That's why he says dynamite. Look, it says good times right behind him. You see that?
I called to check my zip code.
Yeah, hit that follow button if you didn't follow yet.
I called to save money.
I called to get my dental work covered.
Yeah, this is gonna be this last part is gonna be what I'm really trying to see. What was the crowd mentality like? What is the mob mentality of? You know what I mean? I know it's just to try to get as close as possible. It's all about the perception of me and trying to have the best. You know what I mean? Like the best experience possible that you can have, right? But again, subtlety, you know? I think that crowd, the way it was set up, I mean, it was in boxes, so that was tiers. You know how they set up the tiers, but I mean, that was pretty crazy. So, begs to differ. Do you think they're going to make anything come out of this? I mean, put it in the chat if you think so. It'd be interesting to see.
Way less than you expect at TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods. Endless selection, great prices all season long.
Courier asks, what does comfort mean to you? We know it means more than just the temperature. And the people who invented modern air conditioning keep inventing new ways to make you comfortable. Carrier, turn to the experts.
MM Comfort Systems has the perfect carrier system to keep your home comfortable. You create the cozy, and MM Comfort Systems will provide you comfort. Call MM Comfort Systems today. MM Comfort Systems. Comfort and efficiency from friendly experts.
Promoters in Houston say they did have an emergency plan in the event of a mass casualty event, but clearly they were overwhelmed. And among the chaos were authorities and security guards trying to save lives that night.
I don't think that you can ever heal from something like this.
What happened at Astroworld Festival has been a lot to process for Shamira Williams.
So I did feel prepared, but I was not prepared for death.
The teacher turned security guard for the weekend of the festival was assigned on the ground at stage right. She says she knew her role.
We were just scanning the crowd. That's what we were told to do.
She says soon she and her team were pulling people from the crowd.
Everybody was literally scrambling to try to save lives.
She says there's images of a teenage boy in need of help that she can't forget.
There were 4 people carrying him, and his eyes were open, but there was nothing there.
Well, 10 people so far lost their lives at Travis Scott's fatal Astroworld Music Festival in Houston, Texas. Now, also joining us is Thomas J. Henry, an attorney based in Houston, who is representing close to 200 attendees at this festival. Thomas, thank you for being here. Where do you think the primary focus should be in terms of responsibility here? What needs to be fixed?
I think the first thing that needs to be fixed is the size of crowds that go into these events, number one. Number two, the second thing that needs to be repaired is the communication and understanding when an event like this is unfolding, when to make the decision to call the event and shut it down.
Yeah. Now, this event, they sold 50,000 tickets, is what I understand. And this was an outdoor event. 50,000. Madeline, Thomas is pointing out an absence of communication and infrastructure. There weren't things in place to handle people in distress that should have been in place, correct? There wasn't necessary equipment and personnel to handle what could happen out of 50,000 people.
We had one where I was at, I can only speak for what I saw, but where I was at, we had 3, then 4, then 5 people in cardiac arrest. We had 1 defibrillator, 1 stretcher, and 1 bag valve mask.
Do they not have guidelines for these things, Thomas, Richard? What?
Yeah, there are guidelines. There's ANSI guidelines. That's a professional organization that sets out guidelines and how you set up crowds, crowd control. Astroworld, as you showed the group here, had a procedure in place on how to deal with a protocol when there are problems that unravel. So we saw the mass event being called 38 minutes before the show ended, and we see that there's zero communication about what to do when you call the mass event. In other words, we have a mass event, turn the lights on, shut it down. None of those
cheating the game sometimes.
yeah, procedures that you see call for that, and that's the problem with the way these events are being put on.
This has happened in the music industry in our generation. So, I mean, this isn't like, oh, wow, didn't see this coming. This has happened. We have seen this occur.
Well, I mean, and not only that, you have a crowd that is going to be provided alcohol. Some of these crowds, they're using drugs. We heard about that. It is a perfect storm to have a catastrophe. And so it's foreseeable. It's been going on for years since Woodstock. And the policies and procedures that are in place right now, they're just not sufficient. And these organizers know it. They've seen it for years.
You say some of your clients are actually stepping over dead bodies.
Yes. Yeah, we have a number of people I represent. It's actually over 300. And
over 300.
Over 300, probably 400 by the end of the day. And we have photographs of their clothing where they're trampled on. You know, we saw some of the other pictures of his outfit with the blood on it. Just a horrific event with people that are in total chaos with nowhere to go.
Isn't there a way for failsafe to turn the lights on, cut the power? If you turn that mic off, you're done, right? You cut the power to the stage. Somebody has to have the lever. Boom.
Exactly. Well, you know, you're begging the question, why didn't someone pull the lever? And, you know, when you start looking at how easy it is to shut down the event and how obvious it was that there were problems, you have to ask yourself, why wait? Because it doesn't make any sense that someone just didn't stop the concert and turn on the lights.
And you said Drake came on after this was already unfolding.
I think Drake came on like 45 minutes after, at least.
So after it was known that people had lost their lives, they still brought on a special guest.
I was literally holding kids in the crowd, like trying to pick them up off the ground, and everyone else around me was just dancing and partying. And I'm trying to pull these kids off the ground. This kid's eyes rolled to the back of his head.
I had a similar experience.
And there's like 5 or 6 other
People
kids
are
around.
recording the concert and recording me doing CPR, recording others doing CPR, then going back to recording
There needs to be a talk about this. We need to turn it into a positive thing and raise more awareness for these kids, because you don't want your kid going to a show like this in the future.
No. That's right. No, absolutely not. All right, coming up, how will this change concerts going forward? We'll talk about all that when we come back.
What can I do with less asthma? With Dupixent, I can do more beginner's yoga. Namaste.
So, I mean, that's a pretty powerful question. I don't know if it's all that easy, like they're saying, about how to shut down a concert like that, especially something big with 3,000 moving parts. You know what I mean? You got your sounds guys, you got your pyrotechnics, you got all kinds of guys that are working that. You know, you got your key grips back there, moving things around, doing what they need to do. There's a lot of moving parts in the concert, so you can't say necessarily that you have one big giant lever and you can shut the whole concert down. I don't think they're going to go anywhere with that. You know what I mean? Honestly. But the narrative seems to be facing more and more towards the crowd. Honestly. Look, the guy makes music. So does Drake. So does everybody else in this world that makes music. They all have concerts, right? There's some that are deadly and there's some that aren't. I think it's the gravity of the people that go to these concerts and how they act and what they're on when they're in these concerts. So, from right now, my perspective, like I said, I lean in the middle, is leaning on more of crowd fault than of Travis Scott's doing, though he is a leader on stage because he is in control of all those people, right? Because they're, like I said, they're looking up to him. He's like a leadership figure. I mean, when you have 14-year-old and 9-year-old kids in the crowd wanting to be like that guy on stage, there's a certain gravity of common sense that you have to have as an entertainer to say, all right, enough is enough. Cut the fucking music. You know what I mean? Cut the fucking fire. Get the damn paramedics in here. My fans are in distress, right? And cut the shit. You know what I mean? When is the pull to be human come into play? When is that little string that you need to pull in your head that says, oh, you know, this is a little too far now? Okay, so I could see that part. But did he physically make you do whatever you did out there in the crowd? No. He didn't make you crush everybody underneath your feet. You know what I mean? So, begs to differ how the next question that was raised, which is very important. How are they going to fix this for future concerts? Because, you know, for middle-aged Americans like myself, we got teenage daughters, you know, that are growing up, and they're in that age category from, you know, 8 to 16, in that range, and they want to go to these concerts, you know what I mean? And how are you going to make me feel safe now, Travis Scott, to let my daughter go to your concert? Or how Drake or Nicki Minaj and I would never let my kid go to that concert. But anyway, I'm just saying. So let's go ahead and finish this up.
Hearing people screaming for help is truly haunting, as rapper Travis Scott seems to be continuing to sing. Houston Fire Department logs show that by 9 o'clock, thousands of spectators had already breached the main gates, 9 a.m., and the situation was just getting worse by the hour throughout the day. Now, by the time Travis took the stage at 9 p.m., 12 hours after the first thing was reported, 260 people had already been treated for some type of crush injuries, according to a fire department log. Now, when he took the stage, that's when the crowd became fully out of control. And Dr. Rami Hashish is a body performance and injury specialist that has testified as an expert in thousands of cases dealing with crowd-related injuries. How does somebody that is well enough and robust enough to go to a concert like this wind up dead in a matter of minutes? What actually happens here?
The first is you touched on, is that the massive surge of people results in a lot of heat. The second one is that because of the people moving so close to one another, it may actually crush their chest or put so much pressure on their chest, limiting their ability to breathe. And the third one, which I think is very obvious, particularly listening to everyone here today and following the news, is that people get panicked. People get concerned. People get fearful for their life. There's this fight or flight response, right?
Get his
So
boy
all
the
of
common
these
sense
things
award of the
contribute
year, Craig.
to
Come on, man.
fatigue that may put them into a position that they're more compromised or they're vulnerable at that point.
Okay.
Now, secondarily, on top of all of this, you have people coming across you and around you, and now you no longer control your environment. You're no longer controlling how you move and how you act, but rather your emotions are largely controlled by the people around you. So now you have the people kind of controlling your emotion, your fatigue is setting in, and now you're really limited in your ability to protect yourself.
That really makes a lot of sense. And from a psychological standpoint, when you break down mob mentality, the first thing that happens psychologically is what we call de-individuation, where you stop being an individual because you're now part of a big group, which means you don't think like an individual. You're now part of this mass of humanity, and acceptability changes. Like everybody's doing it, like charging through the gates. You wouldn't necessarily do that by yourself, but if you got 1,000 people around you, then things are acceptable that wouldn't be acceptable to you individually. And then anonymity sets in because you're now a faceless part of a big crowd, and self-awareness goes way down because, again, you've been de-individuated. You're not thinking of yourself as an individual. You're part of this massive movement here. And so your moral compass is just spinning. You're not thinking with the same standards that you would. So accountability is lost. And then everybody has their eye on the prize. And that's get to the front or get to whatever it is the goal
like
is.
six points.
And you don't think about the impact of people 30, 40, 50 rows in front of you. Everything is just crushing towards the front. You don't think about that. Like you said, people are videoing you trying to save a child and then back to the concert. It's like, wow, boy, is this going to make a great video for the gram? It's just people aren't thinking. So it's a perfect storm of bad elements that happen in the moment. Coming up, thoughts on how we process and heal from this unthinkable tragedy. That's next.
Hi, folks. Medicare open enrollment is simple.
So like I said, I think that makes 6 points. What they described there is it's actual like common sense. I mean, I don't know why they even had to bring that dude on the show, honestly. Maybe it's because he's an expert, he's got this fancy title and badge that makes his point valid, but y'all aren't stupid. You know what happens in crowds. You get smashed against each other. It's very uncomfortable. You can't lift your arms up. You can't breathe. Everybody's trying to get to Travis Scott because, oh my God, Travis Scott. Oh, and he's just a fucking regular dude like you, right? Or me. But anyways, so they want to get to him. And what do? They push forward. And guess what? The little guys are the ones that get crushed, or the teeny kids, or the petite women, or you know what I mean? Because there's these big monster dudes and people in these crowds that once they get started, hey, it's like an ocean. You look at a wave, right? A wave moves a certain direction. Same thing, guys. I mean, come on. There's a certain amount of onus on the crowd. Period. And I'm really, I kind of like when we go into the last 7 minutes here and about to listen to what Dr. Phil's about to say, how we process this event mentally. First of all, it's a thing of, I guess, contemplation, right? This needs to be reworked from every entertainer on down. Every entertainer needs to look at their performances, needs to look at their security teams, needs to look at their outlines, you know what I mean, of how they set up their concerts and the safety of their fans. They need to put that in the priority. The fans need to be respectful to one another and respect each other's space. I mean, I get that everything's close, yeah, but it doesn't mean it has to be a mob or a stampede or a wave of crushing energy that kills kids. You know what I mean? Just you being at a Travis Scott concert, I mean, I don't know if that's clout enough. I know that people do a lot of dumb things for likes, and that's why you get that mute point again, that people are filming people on the ground doing CPR, but they're also filming Travis Scott because they're trying to get, like he said, the best video. You know what I mean? So it's all about them likes, man. It's terrible.
And everybody knows about it. I was just talking about mob or crowd mentality, and one of the important things to point out is oftentimes the huge group is greatly influenced by a small number of people that become very vocal and very aggressive. And they start the momentum, they start the movement. We have a statement from Live Nation, Scoremore, and Astroworld, and I'll read their statement. We wanted to provide an update on the steps that Scoremore, Live Nation, and the Astroworld Fest team have been taking. We've been working to provide local authorities with everything they need from us in order to complete their investigation. Our staff has met with local authorities to provide information, and we have also provided them with all the footage from our CCTV cameras. We are working on ways to support attendees, the families of victims, and staff, from providing mental health counseling to setting up a health fund to help with costs for medical expenses. Our entire team is mourning alongside the community. Now, that's a portion of their statement. The full statement will be posted on our website at drphil.com so you can hear everything they say. Now, clearly, not Travis Scott, not Drake, not any of these entities want to have people die at their events. And I'm not suggesting they did. I certainly hope everybody can look at this and think about what needs to happen going forward and question whether or not you feel safe and if you think the safeguards are in place to go to an event and feel safe. I think situational awareness is really, really key. I want to thank all of my guests for coming here and sharing their story today. Before we go, I want to take a moment to remember the 10 people that have lost their lives at Astroworld in Houston. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families and with those who are still fighting to heal and survive.
The faces of the people who lost their lives.
14-year-old John Hilbert was a star high school baseball player. Brianna Rodriguez, 16.
She was just always very cheerful and happy, and she just made everyone smile and laugh every time.
Franco Patino, 21, was an engineering student at the University of Dayton. Best friend, 20-year-old Jacob Jurinke, also died.
He was the main attraction in every room that he walked into, and it was only for good reason.
This was 21-year-old Alex Acosta's first music festival. Danish Bey died trying to save his fiancée in the crush.
He was an uncle, he was a great son, an amazing brother, and he continued to show that until he died, until his last breath.
Madison Dubisky was a former high school cheerleader. Rudy Pena, 23, was studying criminology at a college in Laredo.
He was a people person. He brought happiness everywhere he went.
9-year-old Ezra Blount.
He has the cutest dimple. He loves to sing. He is so outgoing. He was spending time with his dad, and he loves that.
Varti Shahani, 22 years of age. She was a student at Texas A&M University.
I want my baby back, I won't be able to live without him. It's like, it's impossible. You know what I'm saying? I'm empty here. Baby back, please. Give me my baby back, please.
Houston. Our thoughts and prayers.
Don't go nowhere yet. Trying to get to this. I gotta put it right here real quick, guys. And I'm gonna close it with this. So you've been waiting for about an hour, right? So this is the veteran's perspective, right, or a veteran's perspective on this whole incident. All right. You have a concert, regular concert going on. It's an actual music festival, so it's pretty large. Travis Scott is a large, big-time entertainer. He's collaborating with a lot of big artists like Drake and everything. So you can't tell me that these motherfuckers don't have enough money or enough time or enough common sense to think about how their concerts are orchestrated, what's going on at their concerts, and the best thing and the best foot forward for their fans. With that being said, I think that Travis Scott did fine by putting out that apology. I think that was sincere. I think that he did want to hype his crowd up, but not to that extent. I don't think any human being in the world that has a heart would want to hype somebody up that much to where people start losing their lives. So I wholeheartedly feel that his apology was wholeheartedly felt by himself. Doesn't excuse the loss of life. Security team, this was a major failure on them, and I would assume that when this goes to trial, that's going to be a major portion of the lawsuits is the security failure, because they had the SOP. They failed to update the SOPs. It was right there. You saw it. They had all the major events, active shooter, big time events, yes, but that's always planned for. Where was the planning for the crowd, the safety of the people? And not only that, where was the safety at, the safety parameters like the entry and exit points like we talked about before this video even started? Multiple entry and exit points for people to freely go and come. Maybe even a large extended field for when situations like this happen, they can open that gate up and allow people to move freely out of the area so they can contain what's being done, what's happening. They can contain it. They can treat people. They have the space. They should have immediately shut down the concert. Security should have been in charge of that. They should have took over the stage right away, said, hey, Travis, you got to bounce, bro. Your music's cool. We got to shut this motherfucker down because people are out here dying. Simple. I'm sure he would have got off the stage and he would have probably went and helped, because that's the way he was acting when he was on there, when he stopped the concert the first time. The problem here is, fellas and gents and ladies and vets and non-vet civilians and all and kids, because I'm speaking to y'all, the kids, right? These people right here lost their lives just having fun. This should have never happened, because people are too concerned about what they want to do themselves. You see, when you really think about it up here, when you're out there chasing all them likes, and you could step over a body and look with a video camera as somebody tries to do CPR on somebody and continue your walk, you, my friend, are wrong. See, veterans, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that would never happen, as far as we would ever do that to somebody, or we would ever put anybody in that situation. So it's hard for me to look at that and say, he's at fault or she's at fault. I mean, I don't know. This is a good one. This is an interesting one. There's a lot of things that are going to play out. I hope the best for Travis Scott. I really do, because this could really impact him as a musician. You know what I mean? As a performer. It can impact the industry, the music industry, which I feel is kind of over the top anyway. But maybe this is a wake-up call, which I hope it is. And it's a terrible wake-up call, but we always say that in the military, right? For those vets out there, we always say that. You know what I mean? The best policies are written in blood. And I hope that a policy is written now in a security plan somewhere, right? That addresses this situation, so that these people here on this screen that you're looking at are never forgotten. And that their deaths didn't go in vain. Nobody should ever die at a concert. Nobody should ever die, period, on our streets like that. Just for entertainment. Before we go, I'm gonna say a prayer. You don't have to stick around, but for those of you who are, I'm gonna say a prayer for the families tonight. Dear Lord, I pray for these families. Man, I saw that mother's eyes and their tears falling. There's nothing that could ever, I don't even think I could ever feel like that mother felt. Because I could imagine losing my daughters, For every parent out there that lost a child, that's somebody's child you're looking at. That's somebody's parents that had to suffer. That's them that had to suffer. Promising lives cut short like Ezra. When are we gonna learn as human beings that our lives are more important? That what we're doing here on earth shouldn't always just be about what it's about, but something greater, something bigger, some more humanity in it, When we get our head out the clouds and start thinking about life is about nothing but fancy concerts and and how many likes you can get on a screen to seeing what it does to kids at school committing suicide and hanging themselves and shit because in 8th grade because, you know what I mean? People are making fun of them and things like that. Or things, you know, it just, there's so much drama in the world today. And it all stems from likes. It all stems from this crap, man. Social media, things like that. You know what I mean? So if you really want a veteran's perspective, this is all a bunch of bullshit. Should have never happened. Should have never fucking happened. Security, y'all failed. Y'all better take your licks. Common sense tells you that. Doesn't take a vet to tell you. Anyway, God bless y'all. God bless the families of these victims. Man, it's a tough one. I look forward to talking to y'all later. There's a couple big events that we want with that I'm definitely going to hit on. One is this bullshit. I mean, tactical convoy into a Louis Vuitton store that they stole like $1 million worth of shit. But I can't wait to look at them videos and comment on that stuff because I already, you know what I mean? That's just crazy to me. But yeah, that supply issues, supply chain stuff, terrorism, China. You got all these things coming up. So guess what? I'm going to tune in. I'll give y'all a real perspective. Fuck the media. Y'all tune in here. Peace.